Hey, welcome to another episode of Three Conservative Gimps, where we give you the information for you to make an informed decision at the ballot box. So, we got a great show for you today. We have a full house here at the staff, full staff here, which is good. Somebody's back from Florida, looking fit and fiddle. Maybe a little runny nose, but he's here. That's good. So we got a lot to talk about. So let's start with the man with the plan all the way from Jensen Beach. Now in Muskogee, let's welcome Lloyd Mendenhall. Welcome, welcome.
Hey everybody! Yeah, I survived. I survived South Florida Drone Meetup 24.
Good, good.
Barely, but I survived it. Oh my God! Yeah, There was no stopping. I missed out on at least a month's worth of maps. So I'm still trying to catch up. It's like, wow, them old people just flat wore my ass out. Excuse the language, but wow, they were just. I couldn't keep up with all them old farts. But
Well, you had some great weather down there, which is good.
it was beautiful. There's a little wind a couple of times, but nothing
Right,
major. And there was one morning we got up and it was a little nippy in the air, and you had to wear a jacket because it was okay standing out in the sun, but if the wind whipped from the right direction, it's like, yeah, okay, it's a little cool.
right.
But other than that, no, it was a beautiful weather. Had a fun time, and just got to meet so many of the people that I've watched on YouTube. That was probably the biggest thrill of it all, was meeting all the people that I've met a couple of them, but like Mike
Well,
Wright and Rodney Bell, I'd met them, and I'm trying to think who else was there that I'd met. But anyways, but yeah, I had a ball down there. It's what I needed to get out of my head and get out and know
yes.
that when I
It's
came back, that meant I could still continue on. So and it's what I needed. So yeah.
that's right. All right, let's welcome all the way from the blue state of New York. It is Charles Gillespie. Welcome, welcome.
Hey Art. Hey Lloyd. Good to see you
Um,
again. Everybody in the chat.
Hey Charles.
yep.
Uh, a man of few words.
All right, let's start off with the elephant in the room. Israel got attacked by Iran yesterday, uh, sending hundreds of drones, cruise missiles, and ballistic missiles their way. So, but it sounded like they got most of them. What you
I,
got there, Charles? Is that one of your gummies?
Well, no, you said talk about the elephant in the room.
Oh, the
It's the
elephant. Yes.
elephant that I have in
elephant in
my.
the room. Yeah, yeah.
Ah, okay. All
Hey,
right.
let's not forget to say hi to everybody in the chat.
Yes, we have Ronnie. God bless America. I guess he's watching over at Twitter. No, he's
I,
watching on my fishing channel. I
okay.
screwed that up. I don't know how that.
Yeah,
I thought I had Twitter going, but
and
it's my fishing channel.
yeah, and
Oh well.
I met Ronnie.
And then we got Steve Knowles. Then we got Michael Cool Cat, and we got Charles Gillespie. Andrew is here,
Yeah,
and we got Chuck Kovacshin. Welcome, welcome. Good to see you guys. And we got a good crowd tonight, which is good.
yeah,
So,
we've got a good crowd tonight.
so Iran attacked because Israel launched an attack or a drone. Was it a drone strike or a missile strike on some building that had two Iranian generals who were probably there to help Hezbollah and
Yeah.
Hamas
Yeah,
there.
they. I think they were in Syria. Uh,
Yes.
they
Oh,
launched.
Syria. Okay.
Yeah, they launched it into, if I'm not mistaken, and I'd have to go back because that was a week or so ago. And
Right.
Iran said that they were uh, uh, said that they were going to counterstrike,
Right.
yeah,
Right.
but the difference was this was a direct from Iran directly into Israel,
Hmm.
which is something that Israel did not do. They attacked in Syria, where the
That's
two of
right.
these generals and six of the family members were there, and they were ones that were they were part of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard, the
Right.
IRG, and
Right.
they were involved with the planning and execution of some of the attacks that have been made on Israel,
Hmm.
including the one the one on the 7th of, how long has
Right.
it been now? The 7th of, when was the attack
Was it
on Israel
October?
by
October.
October?
Yeah.
Yep.
October 7th. Yes.
Wow, wow, it's been going. I don't know. Suddenly, time is. I've lost track of time, and it's like I thought this had just been going on a month or so, but no, it's been going on for quite a while now.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah, my mind was elsewhere during part of that, so excuse me for. It's just like October. I was thinking September, October, something like that, and I'm going, that can't be right. That was like last year, but yeah, it was. But but yeah, it was. You know, I think Iran may have overplayed their hand a little bit, but I don't
Mm.
know. We'll see. Uh,
Yes. Hmm.
they might. Then again, they might have wanted to escalate this too.
Right. Right. Yeah, because they really don't give a shit if they get nuked. You know, they
No,
really don't care.
yeah,
You know
they don't.
and that's what's different about their religion and our religion. You know, they
Yeah.
want to die, so uh,
Well, I was listening today about some of these protests that are or support for uh, the Palestinians,
right.
and these are supposed to be peaceful protesters, and yet they're cheering the fact that missiles were launched against Israel, and they're cheering the death of, they're chanting death to Israel and stuff like that. If these were true peace activists, they wouldn't be cheering that. If they were true humanitarians, they wouldn't be cheering that.
Yeah, they
Uh,
would be protesting against
hey, Andrew.
Hamas. Yeah, and Iran. Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah,
Because
Andrew says we don't want to confront Iran on this. This administration may not want to, Andrew,
yeah,
but yeah, uh, yeah, it wasn't exactly a surprise attack like
yeah,
Rick H puts out, but
yeah. Hmm.
but yeah,
Yeah, and
Ronnie,
then
I enjoyed meeting you too. Yeah, it was a real pleasure meeting you.
and we got Johnny D, RC. Welcome, welcome.
Yeah,
Good to see you. And so yeah, so they launch these drones like from hundreds of miles away, and it's not like they're going supersonic or high speed, so it's going to take hours for them to get there. So it's eh,
yeah, and you
so
had. Guess I don't need that one. Okay.
yeah,
Uh, it's as soon as I stepped off the friggin' plane in Tulsa, Oklahoma, I started sneezing. It's been like that for ever since.
right.
Oh
Hmm.
my God, it's just
Well,
allergies.
bring your fluids there. Yeah,
Oh,
calm
I
that
have
cough
been.
down.
Yeah,
Have, have a
yeah,
Ricola.
yeah, yeah. I've got some stuff. Matter of fact, I
Well,
got some right there.
who is this guy?
Huh?
Amir Odinev. Nev. Yeah.
Okay, he must be.
We got Troll.
Oh, I didn't. Let me check this.
What's it? Okay, let's do that. Buh,
Yeah,
buh, and
and
bye.
bye.
Yeah. Mhm. So, yeah. So it's not like, but on the downside is Israel had to expend a lot of weapons to knock those drones and all the stuff coming, depleting, and this is probably why Iran's doing this. Plus, you gotta remember Hezbollah has 150,000 rockets at their disposal.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Well, and uh, the other thing though is is this. It wasn't just Israel who was responding. We had the United States, we had Jordan, we had the UK. All of them were scrambling jets and or launching missiles to take out the drones.
right.
And
Hmm.
nobody, the sane countries in the Middle East, if there are any, don't want to see this escalate because it's bad. It's bad business for everybody.
Right. Hmm.
Because if it, let's say it doesn't go nuclear, but it breaks out into an all-out world war, well, they can't sell their oil. That's
Right. Hmm.
and uh, and I hate to say it sound like this, but the war would do us good because then we would suddenly have to start producing our own oil,
Right.
and that would be
Well,
good for our economy, you know, because we'd get shut out, especially if we side with Israel, which is what we should do.
Hmm.
This administration, I guess it, uh, yeah, Iran is part of the drone community now.
Yep.
Yes, yeah,
That's right, Bill.
but I just assume we didn't invite him to the South Florida drone meetup next year. I just,
Yeah. There you go.
don't really, but yeah, uh, yeah, that's through my chain of thought. I tell you what, I'm still so damn tired from being out there. I got way too much sun. I was up too many hours a day. I was actually up at sunrise. They got up to go out and do a sunrise video. I got up and looked out my bedroom window and took a picture with my camera on my phone.
There
You
you
know,
go.
then went down and got dressed, went down and got me some coffee.
Now,
So
there you go.
yeah,
Yep.
but yeah, so I forgot where I was going with that. But oh, if a war breaks out there, it's going to hurt the Middle East as far as their economy.
Right.
Jordan and Saudi and all those places, because eventually the Suez Canal probably would get shut down.
Hmm.
Oil exports would dwindle to nothing. We'd become oil
Right.
independent again
Hmm.
because we'd be forced to. So we'd have to do something.
Right.
And yeah, I have Florida fever on it. You're right. Uh,
Hmm.
and so yeah, uh, it would definitely be bad business for the rest, and that's why I think places like Jordan and some of those others, that's why
Right.
they were willing to jump in because they like, hey, we're not part of this crowd, and mainly
Right.
they were. I think what it really come down to is they were pissed off because Iran launched across some of these countries without getting their explicit permission.
Right. Hmm.
You know,
Well, and I think what may happen, what Israel may do, is they may attack Iran's oil facilities,
yeah,
and they do have a port that they could either you know destroy a lot of infrastructure there and possibly mine that port to where
yeah,
it'll keep any any exports or imports coming in. The only way they'll be able to move anything is over land, through their allies like Russia might
right,
supply.
right,
Yeah.
yeah.
Hmm.
And and I don't think Russia wants it either. They're kind of they're Russia's getting uh they're scraping the bottom of the barrel too, because they've been
Hmm.
this war's gone on a lot longer in the Ukraine
Yeah.
than they expected it to. So
Right.
Uh,
Mm-hmm.
so there's a lot of countries over there that have good reason for this war not to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that doesn't mean that it's not going to. It just means there's a lot of reasons for it not to happen.
Mm-hmm. That's
But
true.
we'll just
That's
have
true.
to wait and see.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, but yeah, it's a mess, and I think like I don't know if I said it here or not, but when I saw or heard these people, these so-called activists, peace activists,
Mm-hmm.
out there, cheering that Israel had gotten attacked, that
Mm-hmm.
the missiles had been launched towards Israel, and these were Americans. This was on our own soil. These people were cheering this. Now, if these were true peace activists or humanitarian activists, they don't
Mm-hmm.
want a war, because if they were truly like that, that's the last thing they want. But they're not. They're just a bunch of, and it's a sad state of affairs that this is what the country has come to.
Well, and where did they get those dumb ideas? Oh,
Yeah,
from schools that they went
right.
to. Yep. So this is
Yeah,
why I want to bring back insane asylums, and I think the first people that should go to those insane asylums should be, college professors from
yeah,
liberal, not the hard sciences. I'm talking about the liberal arts division, and these
yeah,
idiot professors that are spouting out this
right.
crazy stuff. Because I
Yeah,
remember back in the day, people used to think, "Boy, that's kind of nutty talking there,"
yeah.
and now it's like,
It's
what?
acceptable.
Yeah.
Those guys, those nutcases have gone on to become administrators and heads of
Yep.
college, and then
Hmm.
they've trained generations of teachers, and
Right.
it just it just keeps getting further and further
Oh,
away from
and
truth.
they've infiltrated corporations
Oh yeah.
and installed this DEI crap
And
in there.
I've been, of course, uh, I haven't had as much time lately to do what I wanted, but just recently I was reading that there are a lot of these companies now that are firing these DEI executives that they've hired.
Good,
They're
good,
firing
good.
them because it's hurting their business. It's not good business practice,
Hmm.
because this diversity, uh,
In
equity, inclusion,
equity inclusion, yeah,
it's just another form of racism.
yeah. Hmm.
Because what it comes down to, it's racist against old fat white guys like me.
Right. Hmm. Oh,
Yeah,
and Asians too.
and
Yes.
Asians. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. Which,
Anybody that's got a better education,
yeah.
because
Well,
the Asian
there's
community has a strong,
strong ethic, work
ex-
ethic, and education ethic. Yes.
hmm that's right.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And it doesn't matter which country, because it's part of it's really part of the Asian culture going back, you know,
Yep.
centuries.
Yep.
Long before communism stuff. Uh, Yellow Rose drones.
Been
Lee.
working.
Huh? No.
Lee.
Lee.
Lee
Yeah.
Sing.
Yes, I
Yeah.
got to meet him, and I got to meet
I met
Averill.
him.
They were both very nice people.
Hmm.
So yeah, I was going to go back. Most of the peace. This is what Cool Cat writes. Most of the peace activists are useful idiots who have a similar understanding of history to a cat. That's about
Yep.
the truth of it too.
That's right. Hmm.
2 days wasn't long enough. Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
There was a lot. I would have. But to be honest, man, I was down there. I left on Thursday and got back on
Oh, Cool Cat makes a good
Tuesday.
point. Asians don't nurture a victim culture where everything is someone else's fault. Yeah.
And that's true. That is true.
Hmm. Hmm.
Uh, you know, and it's this. and that's what we've got here in the United States, a culture of victimhood, you know.
Hmm.
And as long as everybody's allowed to be a victim, I mean, and that's not to say there aren't people that have not been victims, you know. There are many, many children that have been. I mean, just you just look at the news. I mean, like, I mean, the sexual deviance that's out there. These,
Yes.
it's starting to become the norm rather than the obscure. You know,
Right.
it's like who is it that's P Diddy. You know,
Yep.
or Diddy Combs or whatever his name is
Yeah.
this week.
Yeah.
Puff Daddy or whatever he's going by. Uh, I mean, there he is, and it turns out he's really, really got a bad scandal, and
Yep.
it's like,
Hmm.
and here's something, and this goes along the line of some of our politics we've been talking about here because we're conservatives, thus the name. Uh, Representative Getz, uh, the one that helped oust the Speaker of the House.
Yeah. Kevin McCarthy. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Did you know that there was an ethics investigation going on with Getz, and he had approached McCarthy to see if he could get it stopped? And do you know what it was about?
No. All I know there was an investigation against him. I don't know what it was about.
The investigation was is that he slept with a 17-year-old girl.
Ooh. Oh my.
Yeah,
And oh,
and
by
he
the way,
wanted
this
that
was just
investigation stopped. And McCarthy says, I can't do that. That's in committee. That's the ethics committee. I can't
uh-huh.
tell the chairman of the ethics committee not to investigate that. And
Hmm.
so McCarthy made it, or I mean, Getz made it personal against McCarthy.
Hmm. Well, and Getz was just here last weekend for the Colorado State Assembly,
Yeah,
one in Pueblo.
and I mean, and my problem is with Getz is the fact that he's not got that many years experience, and he's throwing his weight around like he's a senior leader,
Right,
and he's
right,
he's causing the party to split.
right. That's right. And so there was a big hoopla in Pueblo last week where someone from the Denver Gazette was escorted or asked to leave. And but you know, I mean, it shows bad form, but this is a private, you know, club, or
Yeah,
you know, they could do whatever they want. If they want to kick somebody out because they don't like them or something, they can. So it's a double edged sword right there. But
yeah.
it just seemed
Well, the the
really
the
bad form.
I don't know the circumstances, but if the guy wanted to shout and carry on and protest, he had the right to do it right out on a
Right.
public
But this
sidewalk.
was a reporter for the Denver Gazette newspaper.
Again, if it's a private, here's the thing, and this is what's happened to our society.
Yep.
We don't have reporters anymore.
Yeah.
Everybody has an agenda that is part of
Hmm.
the journalism. There's no journalists left. What
Yeah.
we
They're
have,
advocates.
they're advocates or editorialists,
Yep.
and
Hmm.
that's it. So, and the fact that they think, and the other thing is the fact they think because they are a journalist or have a journalist degree that they have a right to
Hmm.
know everything and about anything. It's not
Hmm.
true. You know,
Yeah.
we have
And
allowed
they,
we have
they
al-
can make up shit too.
well, yeah. I mean, most. I'll be honest with you. I think I would trust the National Enquirer to report better news than what most of
Right.
these agencies do now.
Hmm.
You know, and
And I sent
you're right,
Bill
Ronnie.
to this about
They're over
Nixon.
paid script readers. Yeah,
Nixon talked about this in one of his interviews, uh,
yeah,
where he said, "Don't forget about the industrial media
right.
imperialism."
Yeah,
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 yeah.
and that's true. And just just because I've got a press pass over here that I could have used for something, and I've had it. It's a permanent press pass. It came, I actually got it. Well, it's a long story, but anyways, I could. I've never, I've never offered to try and park somewhere special. It's just not, it's not my thing. But the fact that, you know, and this is where, to some, to some extent, we've, well, it's like it's real simple. On the left, you're right, Ronnie, and that's exactly on the left. The Bill of Rights only work under certain circumstances. They want to, like when it comes to their journalism, boy, they want to have that freedom of speech, but
Right.
only if it's the speech they want said or read. We,
Hmm.
on the other hand, don't have that right because our stuff is instantly deemed hate speech.
Hate speech. Yeah, that's correct.
And
That's
then
correct.
the same goes to, you know, the Second Amendment, the keep and
Right
bear
to
arms.
bear.
Yeah, that only applies to their private security that protects them wherever they go. But to
Hmm.
the average person like me, I don't have a right to carry a gun to protect myself.
Right.
And I can't afford to hire private security, so what do I do? You know,
Hmm.
and that's where we have somewhere in society have managed to allow and pervert our own constitution. We've allowed it to happen. And there's a not let's see speech someone else hates, and that's yeah, there you go, right there. That's it. Every journalist is potentially everyone is a journalist potentially. So you're right. It means nothing. MSM has become
Mainstream media.
yeah, mainstream media. Yeah, has become propaganda for alt left politics.
Hmm.
Yeah, and yeah, and you're right. I do the same thing. I'll look at something and just every so often I'll glance at one of the mainstream media. It's like, oh my
Yeah, and you'll
god.
go, wonder if that's true.
Well, I always fact check.
Yeah, that's
And
right.
my cousin, who I talk about a lot, Travis, he's a conservative, but he'll call me up and he'll say, "I just saw this," and he says it can't be true, can it? And I look it up. And he says, or he'll call me up with a fact and say, I just read this and blah 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 blah. I said, let me get back to you. And I call him back 5 minutes later. I said, that's clickbait. That's just BS.
Yeah.
That's and we do it here, not on this show, but in YouTube. We
Yes.
all try to grab those headlines, because
Right. Yeah.
because
What?
we're all
Yes.
potentially journalists,
Hmm.
and or in our case we're editorialists here on this
Hmm.
show.
Right.
But
Mhm.
we, you know, and that's what's created. That's the fact that it's allowed. Now that doesn't mean I want them taking down our videos because we said something that they didn't agree with. Because that's just as wrong.
Uh-huh.
I mean, as you and I both, you had a couple taken off, had to do with COVID or something, and I had something taken
Yeah,
off,
something like that. Yeah.
something like that.
Hmm.
And that was like, and then it's turned why they waited until it was all over and then decided to pull those. Just like, a year or so after that happened that they pulled it. So,
Yeah.
but I don't even
Hmm.
know. I never did figure out what they were complaining about. But that was
Yeah.
just, and that's the problem we have. We allow these organizations to do what they do, and
Hmm.
we're getting what we paid for.
Right. Hmm.
You
And
know,
and the thing I like about Trump is when he was president, he would throw it back at those reporters.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and and that's what Republicans should have been doing like 40 years ago. If they would have been refuting this stupid refrain, "You're racist, you're
yeah.
such homophobe," and blah 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 blah. You know, because all that is
I know,
is
Andrew. I
it,
do.
it means, oh, we they don't have anything to refute our ideas, so they'd say we're racist.
Right.
So because they don't have any comeback for
Yeah,
that.
and Andrew, he says you do have a right to bear arms to protect yourself. Yes, absolutely.
Hmm.
But the left doesn't think we should have that right.
Right.
But it's okay for them to go out and hire bodyguards and private security to go out
Hmm.
so that they don't get harassed and so they don't get attacked, but
Right.
it's not they but and this is the left's perspective on everything. They only use parts of the Constitution when they need it,
Right.
but
They're
they
very
don't allow it.
selective.
Yeah, well, and their interpretation of it, and
Right.
even when the Supreme Court goes so far as to answer that question, they still disagree with it.
Hmm.
I remember living in Oklahoma. Trail of Tears is a big thing here, and that's
Right.
when the state of Georgia was trying to take the Cherokee land from the Native Americans, and by the time the decision came that they were being forcefully removed to Oklahoma, it was winter time, and they weren't prepared for, if they had moved in the spring, it would have been better, and it would have been easier. But they had cases before the Supreme Court, and in the end, the Supreme Court sided with the Cherokee Nation.
Hmm.
But Andrew Jackson's told the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, says, okay, then just hike your little butt down there to Georgia and you enforce it, because I ain't sending one U.S. troop to help enforce your decision.
Uh-huh.
Which really clouded my opinion. Yeah, really, my opinion of Andrew Jackson changed,
Yeah.
because he was
Hmm.
not, he was not going to, even though the Supreme Court said that the treaty that the nation had was they were an autonomous nation, and but Andrew Jackson wouldn't send troops down to Georgia, so they were forced to move,
Hmm.
along with, like the Seminoles out of Florida, the the Choctaws, the Creeks, the Chickasaws.
Hmm. That's
Oh,
right,
you was on
Bill.
Arch
You need to
Arch
build
Fishing
up
Channel.
those watch hours.
You need to pay attention and not to put.
I
You
know.
need
I
to get
thought
up.
I clicked on X, but
Right? Yeah.
I clicked
Yeah.
on the wrong icon when I.
Yeah. See, you weren't awake enough from that nap you
No,
had.
I was.
But in this is the problem when we get presidents who decide that they're not going to agree, and
Hmm.
that's where, if we allow them to do that, then they are taking away the part of the Constitution that allows for checks and balances. We're
Yep.
taking that away,
Hmm.
and this is the problem,
Right.
uh,
Right.
but and that's why this loan forgiveness thing, they said no, you can't do it, but yet he's still doing it.
Yep. Hmm.
He's working around at it. So
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's really not debt forgiveness for the
no,
students. It's just pushing. Who's going to pay it on the taxpayers, because it's
yeah,
no free lunch.
right,
It's
right.
not like they
They
said.
didn't just draw a line through that and said no more, because
Right.
the banks are the one who actually issued the loans.
Right.
And unless they're going to give the bank every dime that they loaned out in that, you know, and that's even if they do that, that means somebody's got to pay for it, and that's where it comes to the taxpayers having to pay for it.
Yep.
You know,
Mhm.
but
Mickey, I'm going to try and do some more cooking stuff. I'll probably do some in the Philippines while I'm out there. I'll do some video on Philippine cooking while I'm
here's
out.
a unique take: go to the Philippines and get your fiance to cook haggis for you. That would be a twist. Philippine haggis.
Oh boy. Well, they got something similar to that. It's called balut.
Yeah. Okay. Well. Yeah, but tell her
Yeah,
you want a
they're
Scottish a
really,
Scottish haggis cooked by
yeah,
Philippines. That would give you a worldwide audience right there. It's like
yeah,
what'd be
yeah.
even funnier is if
Like,
you actually ate
yeah,
the stuff.
there's another thing that'll give me dysentery while I'm out there. All right. Well, let's go on to our final
That's true, cool cat. Yeah.
category. Well, we had an attack at a mall in Sydney, Australia, where a lone person started stabbing people. And there have been a few that required emergency medical care. I think there's one or two that are in critical condition. And, but yeah, so uh, the thing that I found, well, where I found out about this is if you, for those of you who don't know who Ryan Macbeth is, he's an analysis. He did analysis and weapons analysis for the military when he served in, I think, the Marines or the Army. So he's got a YouTube channel where he talks about disinformation. And he talked about this attack and how China could be using that for disinformation to split the people's trust in the government in Australia. For example, they'll say, "Oh, it was because it was in a Jewish area." They're saying, "Oh, it was an attack by an Islamist,"
Right, right.
so they'll try to spin it that way. Or if it turns out this person's not an Islamist, they'll spin it some other way to
Yeah,
make it sound like the police were inept and that
yeah.
because they did know this individual for quite a while, and yet because of their laws, they could not really do anything about it. So it was
Well, the first thing that I saw when I read that, or I thought when I should say when I read that, because Greg and I are pretty good friends, and
right.
he grew up in Australia post gun. In other words, the gun ban was pretty much, and his father had never been into guns, so he just didn't grow up around them. Period, and he doesn't understand American history and society. He can't. He just can't get his head wrapped around it. It's just
Hmm.
it's it's like some people can eat monkey brains all day long, you know. But if you've never had them and you've never grown up around them or you've never tasted them, and the whole concept is just revolting.
Hmm.
And I only use that because Grant and I were talking about that the other night. But anyways, uh, but it's a revolting idea. And but yet there's a whole culture of people that's what they eat, you know, live
Hmm.
monkey brains,
Yeah.
and it's just disgusting. Well, that's the way a lot of people look at our American gun culture.
Hmm.
But it's part of who we are. We were frontiersmen. We were revolutionaries.
Hmm.
At a time. And it's just ingrained into us. It's passed down from great grandfathers to grandfathers to fathers to
Right.
sons to great grandson, all the way down. And well, so over in Australia, they got rid of them back. I don't know, back in the '90s, '80s,
Yeah.
uh,
In the
early
90s.
'90s. They had a mass shooting there, and the government just went over the edge over it. They just
Right.
you know,
Hmm.
and the people wouldn't stand for it, and so they had this big giant gun buyout. But
Now we need a knife buyout.
right, and that was my point, is that if a bad person or if a Islamist or it doesn't matter, any person filled with hate, if they want to do harm, they're going to find a way,
Hmm.
no matter
Yep.
what. And you can't, uh, there's been people who've been killed by a piece of rope and a stick. You know,
Hmm.
Just wrap it around there and twist it real tight until it cuts off there. They're dead. It's not a
Mm-hmm.
mass shooting, but it's still a killing. And
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's if a man's heart is filled with evil, they are going to commit acts of evil no matter what
Right.
is in their way. And it's a sad thing. But so
Mm-hmm.
banning one thing to say that's bad is you know uh, that's not the answer. The answer is always comes back to let's enforce the laws that we have. Let's
Right.
enforce. And so this was a perfect. Let's see, largest mass shooting in America was done by the U.S. government. Wounded Knee. You're right.
Mm-hmm.
The Wounded Knee massacre. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Colorado has.
Yep. That'd be Sand Creek.
Yeah, Sand Creek massacre. Yeah,
And where did that happen? Oh, that was down there by Lamar and Los Animas.
yeah.
Down
You
that.
know, when I was in boot camp, there was a movie called Soldier Blue that came out, and it dealt with that. That was what it was about. And one of my best friends I was in boot camp with was a big, huge Native American. He was like, I think he was either Apache or Sioux. I can't. He was a big old boy, and we went to see the movie. None of us knowing what it was about. It was our first weekend. It was our first on base pass that we'd gotten. So we walked across the hill and over to the other base where they had the theater at. Went in there and it's a western, and then we just all sat there, and it was
Uh-huh.
like, oh my god, and it went through the whole massacre thing. It's like, oh, and
Yep.
I just looked at him. I said, I had no idea that's what this movie is about.
Mm-hmm.
Then he says, you're from Colorado, aren't you? And I said, yes. I said, and to be honest with you, I never knew this existed. I said, for some
Wow.
reason, I never had heard about it.
I
And,
I
well,
learned about it when I was in college back in
yeah,
the 80s.
right. Well,
Yeah,
listen,
I took history of Colorado, and it
yeah,
was a fun class, and I learned
yeah.
about that. And in the same area is um, the internment camp at
Oh,
Granada,
yeah, 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 yeah. Well, wait a
Camp
minute.
Amachi. Yeah, Camp Amachi.
Wasn't there one in Meeker called the Meeker Massacre? That's one I'm
Yeah,
thinking.
yeah. Well, and then there was the Ludlow massacre, which is down by south of
Yeah, it's
Pueblo.
in 1879. That's the one I was thinking of. Meeker Massacre or Meeker Incident, the White River War against the Utes. Yeah, that's the one I was thinking of. That's the one that Soldier Blue was, the movie was made out of it. And,
Well,
it was like, it was one of those things that, I never knew existed. And I was just like, blown away. And I said,
hmm
how do you look at a guy that's, you know, who grew up? I'm almost sure he was Lakota or one of the Sioux nations.
right.
And but you're right. Wounded Knee, uh,
Sand Creek.
Sand Creek, a Meeker Massacre,
Yep. hmm
and it was just it was one of those things. That you just uh, we've had mass shootings, and our own government has been responsible for it.
Yep.
And I'm
Oh, and
depending.
don't forget Waco.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Yeah. But that didn't involve
You talking about David
Native
Koresh?
American. Huh? Yes.
Yeah, yeah. That was. I don't know. I was actually watching it when it happened. We bought a '93 Ford truck, and I was taking it over to get a new key made. Because it only came with one key, and I was getting it set up, and it was doing the initial. I mean, we just bought it over the weekend, and this was like on a Monday or Tuesday, and I took it over to the Ford dealership to finish servicing the new car service, and uh, it was like I was standing there and watching this standoff, and then all of a sudden I see the tank rolling forward, and then the fire break out, and it's like,
Yep.
I'm not sure exactly how that all came about.
hmm
I know some things about David Koresh because he started out as a Seventh-day Adventist. And of course, I had gone to the Seventh-day Adventist church, and they had to have there was a group of teachers that had started teaching that point, and it had infiltrated all over the Adventist. Not that they weren't had their own wacky points of view.
Yeah.
This was even crazy. This was even further, and they had to go back through it. They had to, relieve a lot of the pastors from their jobs because they were part of that movement that Koresh was from.
Right.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, Waco and Ruby Ridge. Now, to me, Waco is different than Ruby Ridge because David Koresh was a nutcase, regardless.
Right.
He fired on FBI agents, ATF agents. Okay, that was
Right.
one thing. But the Ruby Ridge, to me, that was a patriot doing, defending his property.
Right.
I don't put those in the same category.
Right.
I
Yeah, I
put
agree with
David
that.
Koresh, in Waco, I kind of put him in the category of,
Jim Jones?
yeah, Jim Jones. Yeah, that's a good example. Or Jim Jones, or yeah, Ruby Ridge was wrong on so many levels. I
Yep.
agree.
Mhm.
And our own government has been known to, and of course, who's president under Waco? That was Bill Clinton, wasn't it?
Bill Clinton.
Yeah.
And who is the Attorney General?
I can't
Janet
remember.
Reno.
Janet Reno.
Yep.
I'm just not gonna be able to have that damn cigarette. Son of a biscuit eater. I'm gonna have to go in tonight after the show and take a breathing treatment just because.
There you go.
Yeah, it's just allergies are just it's down right. It's right in this part of my chest right now, and it's just
Yeah.
aggravating. You know,
Yep.
and so
Plus.
almost like I'm ready to go back to Florida, except I can't keep up with all them old farts out there. They about wore my ass out. I'm telling you. But anyway,
So so follow this guy Ryan Macbeth. He does have a Substack, so a lot of his videos they can't show on YouTube are over there. So go check him out, and he also has some really cool merch that he sells called Ryan Macbeth in Action Figures. And he's got some cool shirts and hoodies and
right?
stuff like that, which is really cool. So he's really big on flags and military coins.
Yeah, yeah.
So he's
Okay.
really big on that, and patches.
Okay, yeah.
Because,
Make sure you put his info in the.
All right, I can
You
do
know.
that.
But speaking of really cool shirts, this is
Oh, you got the Fly for Fun?
yeah. He
I've got
He,
Rodney Bell on.
huh? Yeah, it's Johnny Drone Flyer. He walked up to me and said, "What size you wear?" I said, "An extra large is what I prefer." I'd lost a little weight and I could slip into a large, but I said extra large is just more comfortable. He says,
Mhm.
"Come here," and he took me over there and gave me one of these. And let me tell you, it's a quality shirt and it's very
Yep.
comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell you what, Mike Wright now he had some really nice shirts. If you ever get a chance to buy Texark's Drone Guys shirts,
Well, I got one of his shirts from the Texas model airplane, or
right?
one of his shirts, and I wear that quite a bit.
Yeah,
And
the one
so
he got.
go check out Ryan Macbeth. He's got some really cool videos. I just started watching his stuff maybe a month ago or so.
Right.
So go check him out. I will put a link, and I'll start putting links in the description
Gotta
in
put
the
them
show.
links
On
in the
this.
description because
Mhm.
and you can edit it afterwards. As I do it all
Yes,
the
I
time.
could do that. Yep. and
Just
put that in there.
put that in
And
there, and
right,
yeah,
he's got some really cool stuff. He's neither right or left. He's just really big about disinformation.
right.
And how certain factions will use disinformation to get
Oh yeah, yeah. There it
people
goes.
riled up.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and that's why we appreciate this guy here. He
yeah.
keeps us on our toes. He's
Mhm.
constant. I
Right,
wish he didn't
right.
talk so
That's
much,
right.
so we could actually get in some.
Hmm.
He's such a talker, but he keeps us on our toes.
Yes.
I mean that out of total
Yeah,
kindness, Charles.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So let's
So
see.
I told Ray and Johnny that I will show up next year. So I
Oh,
will
okay.
try to make it work and still go to the Philippines next year.
Yeah.
And yeah, so probably what I'll do is I'll come down there. I want to get there as early as I can on a Friday, so I could fly in from Orlando, rent a car, and do some fishing before I get
Yeah.
checked in at the hotel.
Right.
And then I could slide into States and meet everybody at the
Yeah.
pre-show meetup. And then,
Yeah. That was really a good thing. I got to
yeah,
meet a lot of guys down there that sticks. Because once the meetup starts on Saturday, it's like it's it, well, I kept telling like to Bill, I kept saying, getting all these old people to do one thing or the other, back and forth. It's like trying to herd cats.
yep.
And it's like, oh
Hmm.
my God, it's
Hmm.
well, I said this to Bill when we were going out to eat because we were going out Sunday night, I think.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, Sunday night. I came home on Tuesday, and we was trying to figure out where to go eat. Well, Captain Ray said he'd had a late lunch, so he didn't want anything. And then he comes walking through later and says, "So where are we going to go eat?" He says, "I'd like some, I don't know, Chinese." And it's
Yeah.
like we had all ate Saturday night. A bunch of us had already had the buffet. So Bill's like, "Did he just not say if 20 minutes ago that he wasn't?" Yeah. So
Hmm.
it was like that. I did not win a drone at the Florida Drone Meetup. No.
No, Joey, his daughter won a drone, I think.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. There was yeah there was some nice prizes, but
Yeah.
my the biggest prize to me was meeting everybody.
Right. Yep.
I got to meet Ken Dono and Billy Kyle and
They're cool guys.
yeah,
Yeah.
they are. And Jim Beauchart, I laughed at him.
Yeah, I like
And
to meet him.
oh my God,
Yeah.
TJ, that
TJ,
guy,
yeah, I met
he's just
him.
like a
Yeah.
tickle me elmo.
Yes,
He's got a
he is.
button you push, and it got so bad. And Maddie was down there. Maddie says, "Watch this." I said, "All right, now you're starting to becoming abusive because you're picking on him, making him laugh, And he just giggled his ass off, it was funny, yeah. And but but yeah, meeting TJ, there was a bunch of the guys.
Yeah.
Everybody I met down there, I was happy to meet. Ronnie, Bill,
Hmm.
uh, Bob Dempsey. That was
Yeah, Bob Dempsey, I
Bob
met him.
Dempsey's a character and a half, and
Yes.
we just kept passing each other. Finally, I said, Bob, he's sending me pictures of. I didn't know what to look at. I didn't have a point of reference for the picture to start out with. That was the problem. He was trying to show me where it's at, and finally I just said, "Where are you?" And I said, "Are you down by the Southwest Airlines?" Because I was down there, and he kept going in when I'd come out. It was like the Three Stooges thing. And then Bill, Mike Wright was trying to find us. I said, of course, I had on black boots, black pants, black shirt, black corduroy jacket, and a black hat, black cowboy hat. I
Hmm.
said, just look for the cowboy
Cosplaying
dressed in
Johnny
black.
Cash.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Hmm.
I was the man in black when I flew in there. I said, just look for the cowboy in black and Santa Claus. I said, you know, I said it's not hard to miss. I mean,
Yep.
you can't hardly miss us, you know. And about that time but it was kind of chaotic at that airport. But yeah, so
Yeah. Well,
but
guys, we've done an
Yep.
hour. I want to thank everybody in the chat for coming to the show, and hope you all have a good Sunday, a good week. I will see you all next week.
yep.
So take care. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Good night, folks.
Good night.